What if Jimmy Butler stayed in Philly while Tobias Harris went to Miami Heat instead? How different would the NBA be today? Hello again, basketball fans, and welcome back to Hoop Vision. Today, we're talking about a hypothetical situation that could have easily happened if 76ers front office decided to put their trust into Jimmy Butler instead of Tobias Harris. A lot of franchises had pulled plenty of bad moves over the league's history, but there's a strong case that Philly may have killed their title shot by signing Harris to a 5-year, $180 million contract while letting Butler walk. Let's see how much today's NBA landscape would be different if it was the other way around. In November of 2018, big trade news was announced, stating Jimmy Butler was going from Minnesota to Philly in exchange for some young talents and a draft pick. In February of this same season, Tobias Harris joined Philly as well, coming off a trade with the LA Clippers. Although those two weren't the biggest deals at the time in terms of star power, they gave the 76ers so much depth that season that it's up to debate whether they'd reach the finals if it wasn't for that, now iconic, Kawhi's Game 7 winning shot. As we all know, after that unlucky 2018-19 NBA season, Jimmy Butler ended up in Miami while Tobias Harris re-signed with Philly for, at the time, surprisingly high amount of $180 million over 5 years. Considering that Harris is a very likable guy both on and off the court, everyone was happy for him landing a massive contract, especially considering he bet on himself by refusing the extension offered by the Clippers a year before. In comparison, Dennis Schroeder was also coming after a solid season with the Lakers, but refused the 4-year, $80 million extension, which resulted in him receiving no similar offers, so he ended up with the Celtics on a 1-year, $5.9 million deal. Not bad for the average person, but nowhere near the money offered by the Lakers. In that regard, Harris was smart to take the deal and stay with Philly, but there were concerns whether the franchise was taking too big of a risk. During his first season with the Sixers, he averaged 18.2 points per game, followed by 2.9 assists and 7.9 rebounds on 46.9% goal percentage from the field. Considering he was averaging 35 minutes of playing time per game, and he was surrounded by so many scorers in Simmons, Embiid, Redick, and Butler, it's fair to say Harris was very efficient. It's highly probable that Philly's front office thought that if Jimmy was out of the picture and Tobias was getting more shots, he would be even better in terms of productivity. However, over the next 4 seasons, his stats stayed pretty much the same. If nothing else, Harris can be complimented for his consistency, but for someone who's paid $180 million and given more than 30 minutes every game, we're sure the franchise was hoping for more. Now, imagine they went the other way and instead of keeping Tobias Harris, they picked Jimmy Butler instead. Let's not forget it was him who had that clutch play that tied the score in the final seconds of Game 7 against the Raptors. That final shot made by Leonard still stings to this day, since Philly was no worse than Toronto that year. And who knows what could have happened if they faced the Warriors in the finals. When you think about it, it doesn't seem like a crazy idea at all. Simmons might have been too big for Curry to get his offensive rhythm going. Butler would pose problems for Clay as well. Durant was out due to an injury, and stopping Joel Embiid would be too much of a task even for a defender like Draymond. So, if Kawhi's shot never happened, Philly might have added their 4th NBA championship already, which also could have stopped Ben and Joel from separating in the future. It's crazy to think about how one single moment can create so many ripple effects into the future and shape the entire league for years to come. If Philly won the title that year, there's a big chance Butler would have been a huge contributor to it, which would mean his mandatory stay. In that case, he would get almost as big a contract as he has with the Heat, 4 years for $184 million. And God only knows what the big three made of him, Joel, and Simmons could do to the rest of the league. Offensively, it made so much sense to keep Butler, especially considering Philly's problems during the clutch situations, in which Jimmy excels in. Also, his presence on the court alone would add so much more versatility and make it easier for Embiid, since his defenders wouldn't receive help as much with Jimmy lurking on the perimeter. Ben Simmons would have a Christmas party in the open court, his biggest dilemma being whether to find JJ Redick or Jimmy Butler. On top of that, Jimmy is able to create his own shots whether they come from isolation, direct ball playmaking, or just reading the situation on the court, which would relieve so much scoring burden from Embiid and Simmons. If we've witnessed something over the last couple of years, it's that both of them needed it so badly, and it might be one of the reasons they fell apart. The pressure was just too much to handle, especially after the situation with Ben and the wide open layup. On the defensive end of things, Jimmy would be able to stop many guards and wings throughout the league, which would be of significance when he's not having having his best scoring night. Him being one of the best two-way players in the league is exactly what would make the 76ers scary. Even if he wasn't able to score at times, there were still plenty of deadly scorers around him. Unfortunately, we will never get to see how things would have turned out if Jimmy stayed in Philadelphia. It's almost guaranteed he'd make the team's chemistry much better than it has been over the last 4 seasons. And with the city behind him, would probably blow the roof off the arena during clutch situations. Reality works in sad ways, and instead, all we got to see was James Harden's disappearance in the playoffs and Embiid not finding the spark to cover for him. Add the drama that's been ongoing this summer, and you have a recipe for a first-round exit not even Tobias Harris can prevent. Speaking of Tobias, he wouldn't have had a bad time in Miami depending if he got the same contract as with the 76ers. The weather, the teammates, and the Heat culture under Pat Riley's and Coach Spoelstra's supervision would be a nice environment for him to thrive in, considering he's a player that's comfortable with already established systems. Although his minutes may be reduced due to Miami's younger core, Harris would still be an efficient asset and someone to learn from at the forward position. However, there's almost a guarantee that both of Miami's final appearances in the last 5 years wouldn't have happened, since both times Jimmy Butler was the key factor in their runs. Tobias Harris is an amazing teammate to have, and every coach loves working with players who don't have ego problems and are okay with fitting into a certain role. But he's not Jimmy. It takes something special inside a player to take over a game and fuel his fire by engaging with the rival's fans. It takes something more than a huge contract to motivate a player to throw himself after every dead ball, play with the same burning passion for 48 minutes, and come back hungrier next year. That's something no coach can teach, and what Jimmy Butler has. It's that dog inside of him that Philly's front office didn't spot in time, and is now paying dearly because of it. When you think about it, Jimmy Butler proved to be almost as worthy to the Heat organization as LeBron James. If the three-pointer against the Celtics in Game 7 of the 2022 Eastern Conference Finals went in, Miami would have had 3 finals appearances in the last 5 years, which is a crazy thing to accomplish considering the difference in star power between LeBron's and Jimmy's rosters. One thing is sure, Jimmy Butler effect is real, and Philly has plenty to regret for not keeping him after their loss against the Raptors. Over the last 4 years, the true battle in the East has been between the Celtics and the Heat, and we all know who's the most responsible for that. Hopefully, the 76ers management learns from their mistake and surrounds Joel Embiid with better pieces for the title contention, since the MVP is not getting any younger. In case you want to check out the situation regarding the process and the James Harden drama, we have 2 more videos talking specifically about these issues. That's it for today, dear friends. If you feel different about the hypothetical Butler and Harris scenarios, make sure to share your thoughts in the comments below. While you're waiting for more NBA news and updates, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. Until next time.